Thank you, Amadi. Do you have any deaf participants in the Zipeta? Thank you for joining. Thank you, Naima. Thank you, Francis Gishuhi, Nairobi. Okay, so we'll just get started. My name is Eli Savatia. I am the founder and CEO of Signvrse and Innovate for SDGs. And in collaboration with Watson Institute, Western Union Foundation, and Letters Love for Immigrants Uganda, we are setting a boot camp, and the purpose of this boot camp is to inspire inclusive features through sign language, storytelling, designing for inclusion, co-creation, and art. And we're going to apply that in as problem aims of the world toughest. So starting now, adjust the camera to direct to the interpreter. Okay, sure. See, I think I'll have to pin Julie. Julie, are you there? Okay. Sign language interpreter. Okay. So we're gonna start with watching a video. Just okay. So we're gonna start by watching a video over here. Just a brief on what design thinking is. Then we are going to delve deep into that. So we have two sign language interpreters in the chat. Julie is interpreting in Kenya Sign Language. The second interpreter, Space Media, is interpreting Uganda Sign Language. So to get us started, I am going to okay. Great. So I'm going to play this video and I'm going to share my screen. There you go. Just follow keenly through it because that's what we're going to dissect in the next 30 or so minutes. Let me know if you can see my screen. If you can see this video, is it full screen? Can you? Let me know in the chat box if you can see. If you can see this. Can you see my screen? Just just let me know in the chat box if you can hear my audio. Okay. Uh, so some participants can, some cannot. Let me share it again. Allow. Stop presenting options full screen. Present my screen. Okay, just let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box if you can see my screen. Okay, great. Kamunya can do that. I'm going to play a video that we're going to discuss through it together. Okay. Okay, I'm going to play this. Allow me to replay this for the physical participants.
But rather to come up with many ideas, like unique virtual reality experiences, CEO boards, or a modified pushcart. Whatever it is, sketch up your best ideas and show them to the people you are trying to help, so you can get their feedback. Step 4. Prototype. Now take a moment to reflect on what you have learned from your conversations about different ideas. Ask yourself, how does your idea fit in the context of people's actual lives? Your solution can be a combination of an idea and what is already being used. Then connect the dots, sketch up your final solution, and
Okay, so we just played a video that is pretty much an overview of what we're going to discuss today. Let me Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen. Then I'll take my presentation, design thinking. So, what are some of the key takeaways you've gotten from that video? Don't worry if the terminology is understandable. I just want to know, do you have any key takeaways from that? Dive into physical participants. Um, is there any? You can just drop the chat box. If we don't get any, we'll just proceed with the rest of the conversation. Indicators of what design thinking is. Looks like we don't have any. The design thinking framework. It's a methodology that is used in problem solving, and it has 5 phases. So one is ideate, two, okay, basically going through ideation, prototyping, testing, and interacting with the user while you're solving problems. So the current world has got a lot of issues. I'm having problems with my internet. I'm trying to share my screen over here. The presentation. Um, Sorry about that. Just a second. Okay. Okay, so I'll be sharing this screen now so that we can dive deep into the topic of today of what is design thinking. So slideshow. So today we're going to cover 2 modules. I'm sharing my screen shortly. Sorry about that. Having some little bit of internet connectivity issue. So it's design thinking. Let me know if you can see my screen now. So, what is design thinking? So, we know about the Sustainable Development Goals, the goals that the UN set to solve, some of the world toughest issues from hunger, food insecurity, climate change. Actually, is a big thing right now. And what we advocate for at Innovate for SDGs, at Signvrse, and at Love for Immigrants Uganda, I believe we are all pushing one agenda, which is solving some of the problems that we face in our communities. But how do we equip ourselves with the right skill sets and the right methodologies and processes to actually solve some of these problems? And now that when design thinking is coming in as a methodology and a process to apply when solving problems. Remember, it's not just about building cool technologies or building technologies that are. Could you share my screen representation and pin her, please? So yeah, it's not about solving technologies or creating cool technologies. You want to create solutions that are actually uh, specifically touching on the unique needs of your end user. So your end user, this is someone who you're designing a solution for. So today, um, our objective is we need to learn and understand the concept of design thinking. We're going to touch on empathy and user research. So, what is design thinking? Yeah, design thinking, it's a process. It's a process that's applied in problem solving. And the process, in short, comes from empathizing. You need to learn what empathy is. Empathy, basically putting yourself in the shoe of your end user. If I'm solving a problem for the deaf community, I need to understand what problems do they face. So that needs me to actually go talk to them and understand their specific, unique set of problems. That's what empathizing is, putting yourself in the shoe of your end user. Then after empathizing, we define. Defining is, so let's start with what empathy is first. Yeah, so design thinking is a methodology that provides a solution-based approach to solving problems, and it is used in identifying problems and creating impactful solutions. So creating solutions for impact, solutions that are improving lives. With our specific focus is touching on the sustainable development goals. So how can we as young people play that pivotal role as active participants in realizing Visual 2030. So, oh my goodness, admit on. I think I was kicked out of this meeting. So sorry about that. Can you see my screen now? What design thinking is? Okay, we'll proceed. Can you see my presentation? How about now? Presentation. You can see it? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
I see
Thank you.
it.
Yeah, so we're talking about what is design thinking and what it involves. So we said it involves creating ideas and solutions through brainstorming and prototyping sessions, solutions that are based on understanding the specific set of human needs. So you need to fully understand this is a community that I'm working with. This is my beneficiary or this is my user and thinking. And my hope is that we get to actually use these skills after this, of course, this training. So this is just a sketch of what design thinking involves. I will be doing a series of activities that will, that's tomorrow afternoon, that will have us actually apply some of these skills. Yeah. So let's define two important words that we've come across here. So one is brainstorming. What is brainstorming? Brainstorming basically is a group activity. And what this means is we come together as a group, we put down lots and lots of ideas that we think can apply to a specific problem. And through gathering this list of ideas that we've contributed by a group, we're brainstorming together to solve a problem, right? And another word we need to define is prototyping. So a prototype, this is an early simple model, release of a product that is built to test a concept. Let me add this one. Can you see my presentation? I'm having connectivity issues right now. Someone in the WhatsApp. Okay, great. Continue. Yeah. So prototyping, basically, this is a representation of your final product. So an early sample model. So imagine you're building WhatsApp, right? Before you test it out with your users, you need to probably do some mock-ups or some drawings that will show it to, whoever you're co-designing. So another word we need to define before we delve deep into this is co-creation. So co-creation, co-designing, this is building a solution hand in hand with the end user. And we, as Signvrse, have done this before, so I'll be sharing some of these unique lessons with you. So we've defined some of the words that we needed to just prepare us for the design thinking process. And we'll go back into what design thinking is, then take you through the 5-step process. So step number 1 is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is putting yourself in the shoe of whoever is facing a problem. So I want to solve a problem for people living in a slum. I cannot be staying in a skyscraper, or I cannot be staying in Dubai and expect to solve it effectively without interacting with them on a day-to-day basis or closely, right? And what empathy is basically, it's putting yourself in the shoe of whoever is facing a problem. My presentation is visible, right? Okay, great. Yeah. So what is defining? So we've empathized with this end user. We've talked to them. We've understood what their problem is. We have that connection with them. We can feel the problem that they're facing. So we need to define that problem. So what is defining? So we need redefining basically is redefining and focusing on your question based on the insights from the empathy stage. I don't know why my presentation is not visible here. Check it out. So defining is defining the problem after empathizing. We need to redefine it now from the insights that you've generated in the empathy phase. And returning to the original group that we are solving this problem for, and making sure our wording in terms of defining what the problem is actually in line with their specific problem and their unique needs. Then after defining the problem, what you need to do now is you apply the brainstorming techniques. And this is through ideating with co-creation now, co-designing. So here you brainstorm, come up with as many crazy ideas or as many impactful ideas as you can. So in the ideation phase, we identify ideas that become solutions, and we usually advise down as you can, and just explore your curiosity. And yes, now after ideating, the next process is prototyping. So what is prototyping? We had talked about that before. We defined that terminology. Prototyping is creating a sample. Maybe we can call this a mock-up or a representation of what the end product would look like, right? Are we together? Want to know if we are together on here in the Google Meet? Are we? Just give me a thumbs up or say hello. So I know
Yes, we are. I am.
Okay, great. Thank you. You can see my presentation, right? You can see my presentation?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
confirm that with me.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Yeah. So prototyping,
Yes.
creating a representation of the end product. Creating a representation of the final product. Then after prototyping, remember you're creating a solution, right? So after you prototype, you need to test it. And testing involves going back to your end user group and showing them your solution and actually getting some of those insights from them. Allow them to critique your idea, allow them to challenge it, allow them to test it out and give you first-hand feedback of what they are tackling. So yeah, those are the 5 stages, basically an overview of what the 5 stages of our design thinking are: empathize, define the problem, ideate, prototype, and finally test it. Give me a minute, I just sort something over here, then we quickly continue. Okay, sorry about that. Let's proceed. Had an issue with the physical participants here. So we're going to watch another video, a design thinking workshop. Let me skip this introduction. Add. Let's. Oh, this is a very long video. We need a shorter video. Voice. So I want us to pick some lessons from this video that we're going to expound on.
I just figured my life would get on its own. And I met your mom. You came along. So now I'm at the muffler shop. It's took me to pursue a career now. Since your mom is in job benefits, I stay home and I take care of you. Because wedding is pretty much just a joke.
Okay. What are some of the takeaways from that video? Like, maybe what's the feedback from you? Like, what do you think? What do you think? Someone has raised up their hand. Imam, feel free to unmute and just tell us what you think from that video before we go deep dive in. Hello. I'll allow the audience to share with us. Is there any insight or any okay, the child is asking a lot of whys and the father cannot explain one. Okay, thank you Agaba Joel for sharing that. Anyone else would like to share us any takeaway from that video? Okay, so Kamunya Eric, please feel free to unmute and share with us what you think.
Well, from my perspective, I missed a small bit of the first part of the video, but the rest I saw it was the daughter asking questions about why the father, I think, is at home, and he tries to explain that he chose to stay out of a job because his job does not have as many benefits or does not pay as well as the mother's job does. So in essence, he's just trying to explain to the child why he's the way he is and why he's at home with her instead of the other way around, mom or something. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Kamunya, Eric. So the thing that is common over here is that we learn the child is asking a lot of whys. So I'm going to so you'll realize in the design thinking framework, the methodology, as you are exploring through, let me share my screen again for us, that we have a graphic to accompany what we are talking about. So you'll realize throughout this entire phases, when you're defining, when you're empathizing, when you're defining, when you're ideating, when you're prototyping, when you're testing, you have to ask lots of questions. So we talked about empathy. So let's now delve a little bit deep into what empathy is and the importance of empathy and the user research in the design thinking process. So when you talk about empathy, design thinking, remember, it is a human-centered process. And design thinkers are, you set aside your own assumptions. So probably when you're solving this problem, you have some ideas, right, that you've thought about. Probably, let's put a simple use case of what we are doing at Signvrse. So at Signvrse, we are building a digital sign language interpreter that is interpreting sign language for deaf people. So of course, first when I encountered this challenge, which is communicating with a deaf person, I had some random ideas that came into my head. But now I need to challenge those ideas with the design thinking methodology, and I need to set aside my own assumptions. And in order to gain that understanding firsthand from my user and understand their specific unique needs and experiences. Now, from those unique needs and experiences, after I've gained that personal understanding of the problem that I'm trying to solve, I am able to define it effectively and even break it down from the root cause, um, the root problem, and just other underlying problems, and even know, okay, which problem should I specifically tackle, or which one is actually the most important, like for this decade. You know, I think you can see the trends right now. There's a lot of focus going into climate change, so it is considered a very important problem. Sorry about that. Yeah. So we define it. We put together the information that we've gathered through the empathy phase, where we've been interacting like with the end user, and we put together all that information. Then we analyze our observations and define what the root cause is. So you realize when you're breaking down climate change, there's so many issues. There's water pollution, which is leading to climate change. There's illegal dumping sites, which is leading to, some of those effects of climate change. So you need to analyze those observations and define what the root cause is, and define what the root cause is from all these problems that we've identified in that specific domain or that specific challenge. And we need to also define it in a human-centered manner using a problem statement. And now that is where the whys come. I usually talk about the 5 whys. Ask why. And now we need to define it using in a human-centered manner, in a way that we are able to capture the person's about ideation. So this ideation, this is where you brainstorm and generate as many ideas as you want. And now at this phase, we need to define problem statement. So your problem statement is basically a statement that clearly outlines the problem you're solving. I'll share with you. So my problem statement was, how might we break significant societal barriers for the deaf community? That's a sample problem statement, right? How might we? How might we? How might we? How might we? It's usually an effective way of breaking down your problem statement. So with this, you can now start to think outside the box. Identify new solutions to the problem statement that you've created and look for alternative ways of viewing that problem. So this is now where you're told, think outside the box, think with the box, think inside it if you want to, but just brainstorm as many ideas as you can, note them down. That is the ideation phase. Then prototyping. So you've now broken down as many problems as you want to. You ideated them. You've probably listed them in terms of like your favorite. But now it's not about choosing the favorite idea. It's about choosing the idea that suits the needs of your end user or the needs of your beneficiary or the needs of whoever you're solving a specific problem for. If I am creating a solution for, let's say, Kibra is one of the largest slums in Kenya, right? Or particularly, let's say, like example in Kampala. If I am solving a problem, I need to make it specifically for a specific community. And that's why we're encouraging, you need to empathize with them, talk to them, define the problem with them. So you're co-designing and co-creating a solution with this community. So ideate as many, then you keep challenging it again with the design thinking methodology. And now prototyping, you now start to produce a number of versions of the product. So this is an experimental phase. And your aim is to identify the best possible solution for the problem identified in the initial 3 phases, right? And the solution is implemented in prototypes. So think simple. If it's a drawing, do that. If it's a simple prototype, probably you like tinkering around with electronics, or you like tinkering around with this random stuff, do that. Now, what you're trying to do is to investigate how can I come up with the most minimum viable product. No, let's call it a prototype first. We're yet to get to the MVP. So we're coming up with a simple representation of what our solution would look like. And this can be done graphically. It doesn't necessarily need to be physically, but if you can do it physically, the better. It's usually, I love prototyping, like you think around with stuff. So by the end of this stage, you want to have a better idea of the product, or a better idea of the solution, and how your users feel when interacting with the product in the end. I'll put more emphasis in co-creating. While you're doing these 5 phases of design thinking, you want to involve your end user. You want to involve your beneficiary in that co-creation phase. Because what's the need of creating a solution, then taking it to the user, and they're like, no, this actually does not suit our needs. You want to involve them, generate insights with them, and from those insights actually get to apply them in your solution building process. That is prototyping. So what do you do after you prototype? You've built a solution. Who would want to tell us what do we do next? We've built a simple prototype, a representation of our solution. What do we do next? We test it. Thank you. Appreciate him. Appreciate her. So we test the solution that we've built. And how do we test it? Testing, basically, the testing phase is basically where you get to test the complete product by using the best solutions that you've identified in the prototyping phase. So this is the final phase of the design thinking methodology. And remember, this is an iterative process. Iteration meaning you do it again, and co-create with your end user to find the best suit solution for that. So the results that you generate during the testing phase are often used to redefine the problem in order to create better solutions. So this is an iterative process. Like it's not a one-step kind of process. So if you would like to give us, let's say, sample use case of an industry you want to get into, or a problem that you want to solve, we try and like dissect it a little. there any? Okay.
Pardon?
Yeah. We just wanted to someone to share with us like a problem that they are talking about in terms of solving. See if we can like quickly like dissect it, how you would like approach it in a design thinking methodology process.
Maybe we can give a problem like, let's say someone is a graduate who is just from graduating, and now they're looking to get work, but there are classifications. For one, where they are looking for work, there's always the expectation that they want someone with experience. So we are looking at someone who's just fresh from graduating, who wants work, who's looking to survive and looking to make money. But majority of the places he has visited are looking for experience, and he doesn't have that experience. So how can we solve this problem of his?
So how do you want to solve that issue?
How I want to solve it?
Yes.
Well, I would approach it in the sense of doing not necessarily, because let's say for one, he's under the constraint of he has to make money in order to stay where he is. So if money is the biggest issue at the moment, I would advise he does something apart from his let's say his graduated course, like doing something other than what he learned in school to make money, while at the same time practicing let's say he's gotten skills from school, and by practicing he'll be building a portfolio, but at the same time he'll be working. So how I would solve it is I would advise him to work in something different from what he had studied, but at the same time he practices his skills by either doing small internships, or if he can't be able to do the internships, he practices the skills on his own and builds a small portfolio that he might use to show as experience when next he approaches another employer.
Okay. So you want to create a platform that can sensitize students on how to approach job creation for themselves.
In a way that can work. I wasn't thinking along those lines, but that can work. But the problem with only sensitizing is that we can sensitize the students. We can sensitize the students on how to approach this in terms of like employing themselves. But for for a big number of them, they actually want to be employed. They want to be employed. And if we sensitize the students only, and then they still have the approach of wanting to be employed, the employers have not been sensitized in the sense that they still are putting out the idea that they need people with experience. They want people with experience, which is valid. So if we only sensitize the students and not the employers on how to approach these new graduates, then we'll find a big number of them. We might get into self-employment, yes, but and also a bigger number will just be a bit confused and all over the place. So maybe you can debate that.
I understand. I think I've got a rough understanding of what the problem is. And what's your proposed solution for that? Is it a platform? Is it a service? Is it like how would you approach it? Like in terms of solving? Okay, I understand. You've talked about the entire process of employers, students. So if you were to package it in a solution in like a sentence or so.
Okay, for my understanding,
and it's okay if you don't have a solution.
Yes, that's actually what I wanted to say, because earlier on, my understanding of the question you had asked for a problem. So I had given a problem, particular one guy. What I would have advised would be to work in something else other than what he had studied, that does not require experience or that much experience, while he earns the money, because he needs the money in order to survive. So while he's earning the money, I would advise him now to either look for ways to bring in that experience by one, for example, doing, let's say if he has a hands-on type of skill, like let's say graphic design. He learned that in school. he can be doing, let's say, his own personal projects, looking for pro bono types of works and doing it in his own time as a form of building a portfolio, as a form of gaining experience. So that would be my advice for this one individual. But for a generalized approach, I don't have
Yes.
I don't have a solution yet.
Which is actually, I think you've actually done well to actually point it out that this is specifically for one individual. I think you've mentioned you cannot generalize a solution for an entire demographic, right?
Yes, you can't, because everyone is different. Everyone has different
Yes.
struggles and stuff.
Needs.
Yes.
Yes. Even in terms of skills, people acquire different skill sets. Yeah. So I think that is also, bringing us to just the entire conversation. So how can we now apply design thinking in that? Could we have like a case study, or like, let's say, that use case? Ideally, you can approach it in many ways. There's no one way of solving a problem, really. But for you to actually come up with a solution that you'd be confident with, that would generate some results, there's that aspect of actually talking to, I think, your specific focus is students. So probably generate a survey, or probably if you have access to, let's say, a VC or a top leader in a school who can help you, let's say, mobilize students who can, respond to your survey and be creative in how, the kind of questions you're asking, you're able to, I just have like random ideas in my head. Also, what if we could create a platform that could link experts with young students who want to gain skills, diverse set of skills, and in terms of mentorship. Okay, I just understand what, like, the aspect of mentorship usually comes in terms of like growing your skill set. What if you could build up, because I know sometimes, like, you'd interact with people who are professionals and have lots of experience and would want to even do some of this pro bono in terms of consulting. Yeah. So this is just some random ideas, but as we said, you want to approach this from a human-centered process, and that should involve actually talking to them. And when you talk to them, you actually come to understand what the exact needs are. Thank you so much, Mwangi Eric, for sharing with us what you think and the problem that you want to solve. I'd love to keep in touch personally and see how I can help you in a way or another, maybe to take it through a next level. We had a participant who had asked, where do you get money for you to, actualize some of these ideas or some of these solutions? We can also talk about that throughout today and tomorrow. So I should be wrapping up, and I had a clip that I wanted to share, just to give us that deeper understanding of the topic we're talking about today. So we look at the 5 whys. So empathy. So we talked about empathy. I think we took most of our time actually talking about empathy today. So I'll share some links and some materials in the WhatsApp groups that we can follow through and hopefully get to apply them in terms of our ideas or our social enterprises. Remember, we were asking, like, some of us, we'd want to actualize some of these learnings into our social enterprises or some of our companies or solutions. So I'm going to play a video. This video is on empathy. I just want to cement that today and how you actually go through empathy. Okay. First, let me take us through defining first. Let me take us through defining first. There's a message in the chat box. Contact work info. Yeah, sure. I'll share my information. Zipeta, thank you for your message. I'll share that. So let's just run through a couple of videos so that I think videos and visual content helps us, like, to remember content that we interact with there. So let me share my screen, and just someone can unmute themselves and tell me if they can see my screen from that end. I've shared it right now, and I am on. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can see screen.
So in the define and empathy phases, some of the things I need to look at. So you can create a persona. So you can create, let's say, a university student in Kampala or a university student in Nairobi. Then that persona will actually help you to, you know, a persona is a fictional character based on your actual user. They help you to identify your needs, your experiences, behaviors, goals, and all that. So you now use this persona, this character that you created then, and to represent a group. So for this case, that would be a community. So let me play this video on how personas are created. Oops. Looks like my internet connection is not stable. Okay. But I think we have like a rough understanding of what a persona is. So a persona is just a character that you create that represents your end user, and you now use this persona to gather data. You can even map out what the entire day looks like. So that could be how they wake up in the morning, the activities that they actually engage themselves in, how much salary they make, how much money they spend. Because remember, you want to create a solution that suits them. And this is actually some of the things that most of these big tech companies, most of these companies actually observe. They know a student goes here, 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 here. They even use that information now target some of the advertisements on TikTok. Yeah. So that's the importance of creating a persona. Unfortunately, my internet connectivity is a little bit not stable. I'm just hoping this will play for empathy. Yeah. So I'll play this video for empathy to actually just wrap up today's activity.
Welcome to the Click UX channel, your source for all things product and UX. Today, I'll be talking about empathy mapping. Let's jump into it. As a product team, you have a million designs to make. In a perfect world, you'll have a massive budget.
Yeah. So you're gathering their feelings, their motivations, what they do, say.
Also aid in user needs to stakeholders. I use the map to start researching new product or service. Full persona. Let's jump into how to create an empathy map. Empathy map has 4 quadrants, and you'll want to place a picture of your persona in the middle of it. In the top left quadrant, input what the user says. Your things the user says. Input what the user thinks. The person thinking throughout their journey. What the user thinks is implicit. This is something the user doesn't say, but you can derive. Maybe you observe something annoying by the look on their face. There's two ways to say it. In the bottom right quadrant,
what the user does. These are the user's actions and explicit things that you notice that they do during the session. Maybe the user is clicking around on the page and they can't find what they're looking for. In the bottom left quadrant, you have the fields. These are and explanations. This is it. It's something you can try and gather from the user. For example, maybe the user felt frustrated because they kept receiving an error message. Let's walk through an example. Can you work at a company who is creating which what aspects of your user you know, what aspects you need to create an empty map based on user group. Create your map. It's important to note that empathy maps are not replacements for personas. Remember, people are complex. You may encounter inconsistencies between quadrants. For example, positive acts, negative emotions, as everyone in the UX world has to deal with
Okay, as we conclude the design, what topic details and how to execute that. And the objective for today was to let participants to learn. Yes, so yeah, sorry, that was today's topic of discussion. So we are wrapping up. However, I would want to request the participants on here. I'll be sharing a survey shortly, and I just want to pick out what your major key takeaways are from today's activity, and yeah, basically what your key takeaways are. What have you learned, and what new perspective have you generated from this session? Yeah. So to talk about what we will be tackling tomorrow. So today we talked about empathy and how to conduct user research using the empathy mapping method. If you need me to share some of these materials, feel free to reach out to me. I'm in the WhatsApp group. I'm an admin, so if you also need my email, Tony has shared it in the chat box. Yeah, yeah. So let's wrap it up on here. If you have anything you'd want to share with, please as we randomly call out some. Okay. Am I in the meeting? Okay. It looks like I've been kicked out. Am I back? You. Inside? One takeaway, please feel free.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you for the entire process for the design thinking. However, I have a question. You mentioned there was a platform you're creating, and I'm also working with tech. So to know is it quite to the similar tech that I'm creating? Because I don't want to have a disparity. Will you kindly elaborate on that technology, please?
Okay. Oh yeah. Our technology, yeah. Sure. So Signvrse, we're building a digital sign language interpreter. We're using AI and avatar tools to interpret sign language in real time, basically a two-way communication platform. So if a deaf person is signing, they get an output of text and voice, and the vice versa as well. In terms of the avatar tool, it's able to capture text and relay that information in sign language movement. We'll actually be looking at this tomorrow into the agenda. We have a number of participants in this base camp who are hearing impaired, deaf, and also want to test out what we've built and get feedback and just put in through the co-creation, the co-designing language together with them so that we can, critique what we've built and get some insights from different communities. So we've tested this in the Nairobi community. So currently we are testing it in the Kampala community. And we just want to incorporate as many learnings, as many critics, as many, perspectives from different communities so that we actually get to customize what we're building to suit the deaf community. Yeah. I'm happy to connect with you further, Zipita, and talk more, also learn more about the work that you're doing. And yeah. Great. There was one feedback as we wrap up. Can someone voice her, please?
She has just choose to pick. If you think that she was able to pick, one important thing is that in life we are young people. In life, we have to understand that in problem solving process, it is very important. Yeah. It is very important to understand what you're speaking. Oh, I did fine.
About the presentation.
Yes.
I have got to know that in a problem solving process,
Yeah.
we need to always understand our problems which we face. So, because if you understand our problem very well, it can help you to find alternative solutions to solve the problem. As they are best trying the process, in case if you have a challenge, there is always a solution to that problem. So what we need it is to identify and explain the problem very well. Every problem has a solution as long as you understood that problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your learnings. Kindly please keep an eye in the WhatsApp groups. I'll be sharing a form for you to share with me your learnings from today's session. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your patience. We had a little bit of a problem and we started late, but I totally appreciate you for staying on board through the entire session. See you tomorrow. So tomorrow what we'll be tackling still on the same topic of design thinking, but now for the physical participants we will have an activity that we're going to do in terms of testing and prototyping, just to have those lessons really cementing our learnings. I will be building a no, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, for now I can allow us to sign out. Thank you so much for your time and staying through the entire session. Please keep an eye for a short survey just to pick some of our learnings and insights. Thank you. See you tomorrow, same time. Skip it. Yeah. The participants in Kampala, they'd love to say hi. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
And then